Welcome to the Catholic Life Coach Podcast. My name is Carla Fitz. I'm a certified life coach, wife, and mom of two beautiful little girls. My hope for this podcast is to offer support and empower other Catholic women to live their most authentic life. To share life coaching tools from a Catholic perspective in order to help you live a more fulfilling life filled with peace, joy, and abundance. Let's get started. Hello and welcome. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. Although this episode is not one that makes me that excited, but I do think it is something that we all need to practice and allow ourselves to feel rather than fighting it. I don't know about you, but this is one of those topics that for me is very, it's close to my heart because it's something that I have been experiencing a lot in the past couple of weeks. And that is uncertainty. I wanted to make a podcast to talk about feeling uncertain, allowing ourselves to feel uncertainty in our lives, because I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that this comes naturally to us as human beings. It is actually a very difficult emotion to allow ourselves to be in. I remember my coach telling me once that there's a big difference between letting ourselves be in an emotion for the sake of being in it and processing it versus letting ourselves be in an emotion for the sake of just getting over it faster. And the difference is that when you allow yourself to truly sit in it and not judge it and to love it and to nourish it, it actually does get processed. It doesn't come up as often. Whereas when you just sit for a minute and you're like, okay, I'm just going to feel sad and just let myself be here, there's something about it that, yes, you sort of process it, kind of, but then it comes right back. And you're back in that hole of whatever emotion you're feeling and judging yourself for being in that emotion. And allowed me to say that the more you come back to that emotion, the more we tend to judge ourselves rather than just allowing the emotion to be there without judging ourselves for being there. There is something that I say often, and it is that God uses our emotions for our good. He uses our emotions to teach us something. He uses them to help us grow. He uses them to communicate with us. And when we are used to buffering or not feeling our emotions, it is actually very uncomfortable to sit with them. For me, for the longest time, and it is something that I still struggle with and something that I practice daily, is to just be okay with feeling a certain way rather than judging myself or wanting to get out of that emotion as fast as I can. It is uncomfortable. It is frustrating sometimes, especially when we add that judgment to ourselves because we're feeling a certain way. Okay, so just let me give you a little bit of a background story of what's been happening in my life and why I so badly wanted to do an episode on uncertainty. This past couple of weeks have been filled with a lot of uncertainties. One was that baby boy tried to come to this beautiful world way too early. I was 31 weeks, it was a Sunday, and I started going into labor, and that terrified me. And it brought a lot of emotions up because I felt so uncertain on when baby's going to be born, if he was going to be okay, if I would go into labor again in the next couple of days. I'm happy to announce that it's been a couple of weeks now and we are doing good. He's doing much better. And yeah, we're much better. But the week after I had to go into the hospital, it was so stressful. I felt so overwhelmed, so scared, so emotional, and uncertain. And then this past Sunday, as you may already know, I'm originally from Venezuela. And if you have heard any of the news, what's going on in Venezuela is that we had elections. The government stole the elections. It's madness in my country. And I'm not going to go into details because because I don't want to. But I do want to share with you why it's been so hard for me in the past couple of weeks when it comes to uncertainty. And it is because there are things that are very meaningful in my life that pain me deeply in my heart, things that I love and care about that are not in my control. One of them being my baby, and the other one being my country. So many Venezuelans are dying, and it is painful to watch, to hear, to know about, to be from there and to be so far away. It's, we have been in this government for the last 25 years. I am 33. I was 8 when they came into power. And the possibility of things changing for the better is so and just so brilliant and beautiful. But there's also a possibility that things will not work out. There's also a possibility that a lot of people are going to get hurt. And none of that is in my willpower. None of that is something that I can do anything about but pray. And I felt the exact same way when it came to going into labor early. All I could do was pray. But the feeling of uncertainty was so deep and so strong and so overwhelming. I was like, I have to get podcasts posted. I have them edited, but I have to get them posted. I'm not ready. All of these thoughts started popping in my mind, and then I started getting more and more and more overwhelmed. And so I wanted to create an episode where I can talk a little bit about uncertainty. Because uncertainty is one of those emotions that come from the desire to have control. Is our human desire of wanting to know how things are going to turn out. It's not an easy emotion to sit with, to allow in. And this happens in anything. This is an emotion that can be created from just the simple possibilities. But there are so many things that are uncertain in our lives. If you really think about it, every time you leave your house, there's a possibility you may not come back. I don't pause to think about this very often, for the record. Just saying. But it does come to my mind. It's like there is a possibility that I might not come back. There's a possibility that when my husband leaves in the morning, he will not come back. And if I sit on that possibility for more than a minute, I will start panicking. Because uncertainty is an emotion that causes our brain to simply freak out. It starts like if you've ever been in uncertainty, my guess is that you have also done similar things. Example, when we are in uncertainty and we are fighting uncertainty, one of the things that I do is create these scenarios in my mind and how things might or might not turn out. And I want to predict. I'm like, okay, what are the chances that this would happen? And what if this happens? Oh, goodness, what if that happens? It creates a scenario of black and white. That's kind of how I felt the past week. I felt either things were going to go amazing and be beautiful and bright and shiny and happy and exciting. I don't know, I've said excited way too many times. But there is the other extreme opposite of black, where things will go wrong, where people will die, where nothing's going to work out, where I'm alone, where I don't know, so many different possibilities that are just negative. And we create this idea in our minds that when we are in uncertainty, there are only two options: things are going to go amazing or they're going to go horribly. And what I wanted to talk about is that we actually have a third option when we are feeling uncertain. And that option is what I don't love to call that, but it is kind of the in between, and it is the color gray. It is a zone in which we are not black and we are not white, we're just simply gray. In the gray zone, we are muddy. In the gray zone feels uncomfortable because we simply do not know. And the truth is that unfortunately, we cannot know. It is not our job to know. Our job when we are in uncertainty is to trust. Is to surrender to God. Our job when we feel uncertain is to simply trust that God is going to create the best outcome that can be created. And that if something does go wrong, God has us in his hands. He is holding us. He's leading us. But then in that gray zone also, we have an opportunity to develop a muscle that helps us to build more capacity to handle hard things. That is what I think God does with us when we are in uncertainty. God is like, okay, you're in this situation. What are you going to do now? Are you going to trust me, or are you going to try to control and predict what is going to happen ahead of time? Are you going to trust me? Are you going to surrender your pain, your fears to me? Will you let me hold you? Will you rest in me? Or will you try to fix it yourself? That is the opportunity, is to allow ourselves to grow, is the opportunity to allow ourselves to expand, to build up that capacity to handle hard things. Because any new things that we decide to do in our lives are going to cause a certain amount of discomfort or uncertainty. I heard someone talk about this with clothing, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever felt that. New clothing causes uncertainty. And then I had this memory. I think you guys are going to love this. So, when I started losing weight, I remember there was one afternoon I was getting ready for Mass. And I put my jeans, I started wearing these really, really high cut jeans, and my shirts were very baggy. And I was like, they look real weird now when I'm wearing them outside. And I had never in my life wore shirts tucked in. I know this sounds ridiculous, but the amount of anxiety that it cost me was out of this world. I was like, this is, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? They're going to see my belly. I felt so exposed. And it was something very simple. I tucked my shirt in. That was it. I was not going to die. Nothing was going to happen. And I just had this idea of people are going to think I look terrible. I'm gonna look horrible. They're gonna think that, they're gonna think that, and I'm gonna feel a certain horrible way. Again, the black and the white, the two extremes, trying to predict how things are going to turn out, trying to control, trying to suppress that discomfort that comes with uncertainty. I basically sat at Mass and thought, Carla, we're just going to try this once. We're going to focus on God. We are not going to focus on your belly and your jeans. And we're just going to go through this. And you're going to be fine. I'm happy to announce that after that, I wore my shirts tucked in the rest of the time. Because now every time I put my jeans on, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to get back to wearing my shirts tucked in. It's so freeing when we allow ourselves to try new things, be uncomfortable, overcome the uncertainty, and then find out how things actually work out. But if we stop ourselves from living our lives, from putting ourselves in a situation that causes discomfort and or that causes a sense of uncertainty, we don't do anything new. We don't try new things. We don't go after the things we want because we want to have this false sense of security, of certainty. And that keeps us living a small life, a life that does not allow us to change, to grow, to become the new person, to feel the way we want to feel, to be the person that God is wanting us to be. We need to feel uncertain. We are not going to know the outcome. I wish I could tell you I had some sort of exercise where you could figure that out and how things are going to work out. But I think the exercise that I have for you when it comes to this is practicing surrender, is simply sitting with God and saying, God, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. It doesn't have to be a big, ginormous decision. It can just simply wait. It can just simply be, hold me as I do this new little thing, as I try this new style of getting dressed and wearing my shirts inside of my jeans. Even that can cause enough discomfort and uncertainty to stop us. And it sounds small, but it does something to our brain. And what it does is it exercises the muscle of resilience. It exercises the muscle of trust, surrender, believe, receive. It exercises your trust in God. Because the things that are outside of your hands are outside of your hands for a reason. There is uncertainty in your life because we need to rely in Him. You feel unsure because you are supposed to rest in Him. God's got you. He's holding you. Even when we feel uncertain, there's one thing that you can do, and that is remind yourself of something that you have for sure in your life. The one certainty you have in your life is that God is walking with you, that He has a purpose. And then the other thing I also wanted to mention is that no act of uncertainty or discomfort or pain is ever happening to you without a purpose. It's all happening for a reason. And if you are going through uncertainty, allow yourself to be okay with not knowing. Allow yourself to go to Jesus and just simply say, Lord, please take care of everything. All right, my loves, have an amazing rest of your week. And until next time, God bless. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to be part of this community. If you are enjoying these episodes, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so that you are notified the next time the episodes come out. Also, right now, I have some spots open to work with me one-on-one. This program will change your life. I 100% believe that without God, we can't. But without us, God won't. I will help you step into your power. I will help you take the actions that you need to take in order for you to create the most fulfilling and aligned life. A life that feels aligned with you and with God. And that life is available to you right now. Check the link in the description to reserve a time to chat with me. I will see you then.